2020, Half-Life, Alyx drops. And literally everyone, journalists, gamers, investors, believed the future had arrived. That we were on the verge of living inside other worlds, like Sword Art Online. That VR was the next big leap after smartphones. It's 2026. Nothing better than Alyx has come out since. Valve releases a new headset, with 0 first-party games to go with it. Meta burned through $83 billion and nearly gave up. And the smart glasses market is growing faster than any VR headset ever has. So what happened? Why did a technology that was supposed to change everything stall out? Today, we're breaking it down. Does VR have a future or not? 1. What happened in 2020? To understand where we are now, we need to go back to what happened then, March 2020. Valve releases Half-Life, Alyx. And for the first 10 minutes, most people just stand there. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they can't believe it's actually real. You're on a balcony above a dystopian city. You pick up a can and crush it in your hand. Not by pressing a button, not by clicking a mouse. You just close your fingers. A note can be picked up and read inches from your face. It doesn't float in the air. It sits between your fingers. This isn't just impressive graphics. This is a fundamentally different sense of reality. For the first time in 30 years of video games, you're not watching a world through a rectangular screen. You're standing inside it. Your body believes it's really there. And that's the whole point. The industry's reaction was immediate. 93 on Metacritic. The Valve Index sold out across 31 countries within a week of the announcement, before the game even launched. After release, nearly 1 million new headsets connected to Steam in a single month, a record that tripled the previous one. The press spoke in one voice. This is it. The killer app. The moment that changes everything. VR is finally going to take off. 6 years passed. It didn't. 2. The math that kills dreams. Picture this. You're the head of a major game studio. EA, Ubisoft, Take-Two. Doesn't matter. You have $1 billion to spend on game development over the next 5 years. And you want to make a VR game. You sit down, open a spreadsheet, and start running the numbers. Row 1. Audience. How many people can actually buy your game? At the time Alyx launched, there were roughly 4 million PC-compatible VR headsets in the entire world. That's the whole market. 4 million devices on the entire planet. To put that in perspective, to really feel it. Red Dead Redemption 2 sold 50 million copies. GTA 5, 200 million. Even Death Stranding, a game half the people who bought it didn't understand, outsold the entire VR install base at that point by a wide margin. Row 2. Revenue. How much money did Alyx actually bring in? Around 680,000 people bought the game at full price. Total revenue, roughly $40 million. Row 3. Costs. 80 people. 4 years of development. An engine rebuilt from scratch. Source 2 had to be rewritten for VR. Meanwhile, Valve was developing its own headset, the Valve Index, at $1,000 a unit. Altogether, that's tens of millions in man-hours alone, not counting marketing and infrastructure. Gabe Newell himself called Alyx a long-term investment in new technology. Not a hit, not a commercial success, an investment. Analysts were blunt. The game almost certainly didn't break even on sales. So you close the spreadsheet. The best game in the genre, according to every major outlet on the planet. 80 people, 4 years, didn't break even. And you ask yourself, why would I do this again? That's where everything got stuck. Not in the technology, not in a lack of ideas, but in one row of the spreadsheet, costs exceed revenue under any realistic scenario. 3. How everyone tried and gave up 2021, silence. 2022, silence. 2023, silence. The big studios looked at Alyx's numbers and quietly closed the tab with their VR business plans. But some did try. Sony made the PlayStation VR 2. Technically, a solid headset. Better eye tracking than the competition. A great display. They built a big exclusive, Horizon, Call of the Mountain, good reviews, a beautiful game, and then nothing. No more first-party support. Why? Because the math is simple and brutal. Even if every PS VR 2 owner buys your new game, that's less than 5% of the audience a regular console hit reaches. No CFO is going to enjoy explaining to shareholders why they sank $150 million to reach 5% of the market, especially when Spider-Man, God of War, and everything else guarantees a return. Xbox didn't even make a headset at all, zero. The company that spent $69 billion to buy Activision Blizzard decided that VR was too small a market to bother entering. Let that sink in. Microsoft bought an entire company, Call of Duty, Diablo, World of Warcraft. But a VR headset? That's too much. And now, Meta. Because this is a separate and very painful story. 2024, Batman, Arkham Shadow, 87 on Metacritic, Quest 3, exclusive. The best VR game since Alyx? That was the consensus. It felt like finally, a new contender, a new push. 2025. 1 year later, Meta lays off over 1,500 people in its VR division, closes 3 studios, cancels the Batman sequel, cancels the Harry Potter game. Even Camouflage, the studio that just made Batman and earned the best reviews, was cut down to a handful of people and moved to maintenance. 1 hit, 1 year, then the knife, and now the headline number. From 2020 to 2025, Reality Labs, Meta's VR and AR division, lost over $83 billion. Stop. Let's sit with that for a second. $83 billion, over 6 years. That's more than 3 full annual NASA budgets. That's the value of Apple in 2003. The entire company. More than the GDP of some countries. And yet, this still isn't the end of Meta in VR. Because Quest sells. Ray-Ban glasses sell even better. But the bet on the metaverse, a social platform where people live as legless avatars and hold meetings in virtual rooms, that bet lost. At peak activity in Horizon Worlds, Meta's flagship VR product, there were a few 100,000 active users. While Facebook and Instagram had 3 billion, nobody wanted to move. But here's the important thing to understand. Meta's failure and Valve's failure are 2 completely different failures. Zuckerberg got the idea wrong. He thought people wanted to live in VR. They don't. Valve correctly understood what people actually want: games, presence, physical experience. But the market for that simply didn't exist at the necessary scale. One bet on the wrong horse, the other bet on the right horse, in an empty stable. 4. The Alyx paradox. And this is where the most ironic part of the whole story begins. There's an argument that's hard to dismiss. If Alyx had been mediocre, VR might have developed differently. A mediocre game wouldn't have set the bar so brutally, wouldn't have shown so clearly what it costs to do VR right. Studios would have looked at it and thought, okay, we can do better, we'll try. But Alyx came out perfect. And now every studio in the world simultaneously knows 2 things that contradict each other. First, VR can be truly extraordinary. Alyx proved that once and for all. Second, to do VR right, you need years of development, a large team, and a budget that may not even get you to break even. The best game in the genre became the best argument against making new games in that genre. This is called a coordination problem. Every studio thinks, if I take the risk and fail, that's my money and my reputation. But if someone else takes the risk and the market finally grows, I can just show up later and benefit. So everyone waits, all at once. And the market stagnates, because nobody wants to go first. This isn't a conspiracy. It isn't even cowardice. It's just rational logic, that in aggregate produces paralysis for the entire industry. November 2025. Valve announces the Steam Frame, a new standalone headset. Impressive specs. People who've held it say it's the best VR device they've ever seen. More powerful than Quest, more comfortable than Index. Standalone, no PC required. But there's one detail everyone noticed. Valve officially confirmed there are no first-party VR games in development. The Steam Frame launches without a single Valve exclusive. Road to VR ran a headline that's hard to forget. The Steam Frame's biggest problem is Half-Life, Alyx. The biggest problem with the new headset is that the best game for it came out 6 years ago. Valve is building a new railroad, but not building the trains, and hoping someone else will. Someone who isn't afraid, or someone who hasn't run the spreadsheet yet. 5. Where VR actually went while everyone waited for the next Alyx. The market quietly voted, and not in the way anyone expected. According to 2025 data, the entire XR market, VR, AR, smart glasses, grew 44%. Sounds good. But the breakdown inside that number is unexpected. Meta Quest sales dropped 42% year over year. 42%, that's a collapse, not a dip. And the growth came from somewhere nobody was really watching. Smart glasses. Meta Ray-Ban, Xiaomi Smart Glass, X Real Air, light devices with no full immersion. You put them on like regular glasses. They overlay information on the real world. Connected to AI, they can answer questions, translate text in real time, remind you about meetings. No headset, no isolation, no, I'm in VR now, don't bother me. Just a little more reality, layered on top of your own. The market spoke clearly. We don't want to leave our world. We want our world to become a little more convenient, a little smarter, a little augmented. This isn't the VR that Alyx fought for. Not the one Meta put $83 billion behind. It's something third, and it's still unclear whether there's even room in it for big gaming experiences, or whether it will always be a utility technology. Navigation, translation, notes. There's no answer yet. But the direction of the market, there is one. So, 2020. Alyx proves that AAA VR is possible. Once. Expensively. Perfectly. 2021 to 2024. The major industry looks at the numbers and doesn't repeat it. 2025, Meta cuts the division, Quest sales collapse, smart glasses grow. 2026, Valve releases the best VR headset with 0 first-party games. The market grew from 4 to 34 million devices, 8 times over 6 years. That's not a small number. But the number of major VR games in that same period barely changed. Because without big games, the market grows slowly. And without a big market, there are no big games. It's a vicious cycle. And so far, nobody knows who's going to make the first move. If anyone can break it, it's Valve. The money is there. The technology is there. The reputation is there. Half-Life is there. They're the only ones who've already done it right. And they know how. There's just one question. Whether they'll want to go first again, knowing how it ended last time. Let me know in the comments. Do you believe in VR? Or is it a technology that will forever be almost took off?